Welcome to the Carnivore Cast, a podcast focused on the carnivore diet and lifestyle, with practical advice from successful carnivores, citizen scientists, and top researchers. I'm your host, Scott Meslinski, and I'm here to speak with experts and experienced carnivores to get answers to your biggest and meatiest questions while helping you live your best life as a carnivore. So I'm excited to announce this new sponsor, and this one is for people like me who may be curious about your levels of certain nutrients and minerals. We know on a carnivore diet that the requirements for certain minerals and nutrients are different than the recommended daily amounts. And we also know that we aren't getting as much of certain minerals and nutrients. So how can you know if you're getting enough? And more importantly, if you're absorbing those things? If you're taking, for instance, vitamin D or magnesium, you may want to know whether the supplement is actually doing anything, or you may just want to know how much of certain vitamins you're getting through your food. So what's one way to accurately test all of this? In this case, I'm talking about Upgraded Formula's Upgraded Hair Test Kit and their consultation. And I had Barton Scott on, the founder of Upgraded Formulas, to talk about this. He's fantastic. And their minerals can really help you absorb things that can vanquish those hidden deficiencies that may be affecting your thyroid, your adrenal, or other things. So check out the test and consultation at upgradedformulas.com and save 15% on your first purchase with the code carnivore15 at checkout. Thanks and enjoy the show. Cherish at keto to carnivore.mama is a carnivore keto coach, recovering yo-yo dieter, and has used carnivore to improve her mood, hormones, stress, gut health, energy, and mental clarity. Welcome to the show, Cherish.
Thank you, Scott. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So we were introduced through Bella. So I'd love to hear, how you met her and just tell us your story.
Okay, great. So I met Bella by joining her 30-day all-in carnivore challenge. I previously was doing keto and having a lot of success with that, but had a strong addiction to nut butters and was having some real bad gut issues from all the sweetener things and all the keto treats and fat bombs that you do when you're on keto trying to get more fat in your diet. And I, watched, I believe it was a Kelly Hogan YouTube, and saw Bella and watched a couple of her YouTubes and saw that she was having this 30-day challenge outside of Facebook. And I decided to join. And at the time I was studying to become a health coach. And I thought, well, if you're going to be a good coach, you got to know how to be coached. So I joined the group and I decided this is the way for me. And I've been there ever since. And it's almost been a year.
That's incredible. And what brought you to this point? Like what got you to carnivore and keto? And tell us a little bit more about how you got sick in the first place.
So actually the journey really started for my husband's benefit. I was watching a lot of documentaries. I love documentaries. I happened upon Vinnie Tortorich's Fat documentary, and he was talking about the ketogenic diet and how anti-inflammatory it is and how it can do wonders for people with diabetes and things. And my husband's diabetic. And so I was just spouting off this wonderful plan. And he said, well, if I do it, will you do it with me? And then, sure, I'll do it with you. I didn't think I had really any issues, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm 50, so, I'm in my 40s, and I knew I didn't feel well, but I thought that was normal. I thought, it was part of getting old, right? So as you get older, you have more aches, more pains. As a woman, you have issues with, bathroom and all kinds of things. And I thought this was just the process that the body goes through. And as we're going along this journey, I'm doing things for him and making sure that he's good. Well, lo and behold, I had all this amazing weight loss, even though I had a broken ankle and was laid up and not doing anything, and still wound up losing a bunch of weight, even though I didn't think I had any weight to lose. But I did, and it was great. And I was super stoked, and my husband's blood sugars were going great. And it was just a wonderful thing, right? Low carbs, the best. But then my gut started acting up because of all the sweeteners and the erythritol and the xylitol and all the things I was making with all these sweeteners were really irritating me. And I realized that I was very much addicted to nut butter. So I joined the challenge to try and kick that habit, which did help me to do so. And then I just started, becoming carnivore more and more and more, and eventually got rid of sweeteners. I just recently quit coffee, and just realized that the more 100% carnivore you can be, the more healing you get. And I got so many non-scale victories from going carnivore. It's just amazing.
That's incredible. And I wanted to ask you about, like, your journey kind of mirrors my own with regards to taking these gradual steps from your old diet to keto to carnivore. And I guess, do you think that was necessary? Do you think that was the right way to do it? Or do you think it's okay for someone to go straight from like a standard American diet to carnivore, or do they need to like build up to that?
I think it depends on the person for sure. I know for me, I don't know how I would have done. I mean, I went straight from a SAD diet to keto and did have an adaptation that was pretty rough, and so did my husband. So had we had known what we know now, right, in hindsight, if we had known some of the tricks to kind of ease that adaptation and take baby steps, we probably would have gone that route. So when I did go into carnivore, I was pretty much there anyway, because we weren't eating a lot of fruits or vegetables or anything like that. Those were pretty easy to give up. It was the sweetener was the hardest thing. And I did have to baby step that through the journey. It took me a couple months to finally, find, at the time, drinking coffee, drinking tea, doing without that sweetener in those hot, bitter liquids, and how to do that was a challenge. And it took me a couple of months to do it. So for me, kind of a nice, easy, natural progression over time worked really well for me. Some folks that we coach in the group and that I coach, sometimes they have to be all in or it just doesn't work. So I think it's very individual.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're speaking like a true coach, saying that it depends on the individual. And I love that. Can you talk about for yourself, like, a lot of people have that one last thing that's really tricky for them. For a lot of people, it's cheese or coffee or sweetener, like you said. Can you talk about like how important and the benefit of having that kind of group accountability and support was for you to finally kick that last habit?
Yeah, it's really, something when you put it out there in the world and you say, even if it's to a small world, like a group, like a little community, like the steak and butter gang, when you declare it, you own it. And then you have people that will actually support and try and do it with you. I never go into anything like, if I'm afraid to do it, I'm not going to do it. Right? Because then I'm probably not, my mindset's not there. But if I'm like, okay, I think I can do this. I'm ready to do this. And, just even declaring right at the end of May that I'm going to be off coffee. Now, see, I'm putting it out there in the world now for your audience, say, I quit coffee. And that's just doing that with a community to help you, support you, find ways to navigate if it becomes a problem or if you have, a moment of weakness or a craving, to kind of help you, talk you through those moments. Just putting it out there a lot of times that gives you the motivation and the strength, at least for me, to stay true to what you said. I'm a kind of true to my word type of person. So if I say I quit this, I quit it, and try my damnedest never to go back.
Thanks to Bioptimizers for sponsoring the show, and I'm really excited to tell you guys about an excellent deal they're offering this November. This is the biggest blowout deal they will be offering all year, so if there's a time to stock up, it is now. What they're offering is over $200 worth of free gifts and a huge discount all month long on their Magnesium Breakthrough product. Their Magnesium Breakthrough is a full spectrum magnesium supplement that includes 7 unique forms of magnesium for stress relief, better sleep, and mental health, all in one bottle. They're offering all sorts of awesome free gifts and products worth over $200 with select purchases. All month long, they're offering 10% off using my unique code. And you can only get this exclusive deal through my link, special for you listeners. You won't find it on Amazon or even the Bioptimizers website. Go to magnesiumbreakthrough.com/carnivore and use code carnivore to get your discount and free gifts today. Thanks so much and have a great day. Yeah, public accountability can be really powerful. That's a big part of what's kept me consistent with the podcast is, saying I will have an episode out every week and putting that out there and having people who listen to it has made me really accountable to continuing to do it, even when sometimes I don't feel like it. Sometimes I don't feel like doing all the administrative stuff behind the podcasts. But cool. So how did you go about becoming a coach? How do you enjoy coaching? And tell us about the Steak and Butter Gang.
So I was studying to become a keto coach, actually, when I joined the Steak and Butter Gang. And I didn't realize that I was going to get all the healing that I got from carnivore, and that I came to like a crossroads as I was getting my certification. You kind of have to make a decision. How do you want to teach people? You have to pick your niche, right? So when you're doing that exercise, I just realized that I don't really want to teach people to mess around with macro counting and, playing games with, net carbs versus total carb. I just didn't want to go there because that to me seems like additional stress for me. I know that tracking and that counting, it's a huge stressor. And I didn't want to teach that way. And I liked the way that Bella and Raymond and Coach Steven, who were the 3 primary coaches at the time, really taught how to be, how to try to be as carnivore as you can be in all situations and try to navigate that in a real life way, and not be dogmatic about it. So I really enjoyed that. And I was helping out in the group as a moderator while studying to be a coach. And once I got my certification, Bella was like, you can coach with us. So that's how that happened.
That's awesome. And what does coaching mean to you? Like what do you get out of it and how have you enjoyed it?
Coaching is actually my passion. I do have a full-time day job. And I would, in a hot minute, would give it all up if I had a completely booked calendar, with coaching clients. It is what I like to call my sunset career. I could do that for the rest of my life. Just the fact that I could possibly help somebody else to feel as good as I feel, to feel as good as my husband feels. My mother-in-law had a huge, huge healing by being ketovore, just to be able to see somebody get those, even the little milestones, the little healings, just is such a joy to be able to help somebody through their journey. It's definitely my passion, and it's what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's great to hear you speak with that passion, and I'm confident, Cherish, that you will get to that point where you can do it full time. That's awesome.
I hope so.
And can you talk a little bit about carnivore, different types of carnivore dieting, different versions of carnivore? I know Bella at times and Raymond have talked about I guess a good word for it is a mono diet of having only one food versus having like carnivore with a little bit more variety. Where do you think that's appropriate? Would you do that for yourself, or like, how do you think about the trade-offs between those two?
Yeah, so I think it ties in with kind of, if you're new to carnivore, kind of baby stepping your way in and not, thinking that you have to go completely beef only right away. We've had, members that, and I've coached people that think that they have to do that. You don't have to. If you want to, great, we'll help you. But you don't have to be so, strict with yourself. You can have and encourage to have as many carnivore foods at first as you want, as many as you want, as much as you like, because you're going to be, your body is going to go into a little, especially coming from a SAD diet, your body's going to go into a little bit of like, whoa, wait a minute, what are you doing here? Why are you doing this to me? Right. And so there might be some adaptations to it. So variety at first is a great way to step in if you are able to do so. Highly recommended. I'm currently doing variety right now, but I have done beef only. And, I find that throughout my journey, the tastes kind of evolve. Like 1 month I'll be craving, a lot of beef, or the next month it might be seafood. And I know that there are folks that, play with the mono diets to see how it would impact their body composition and things of that nature. And that's great too. As long as it's sustainable for that person, it's wonderful, but it doesn't have to be, I don't think tell me if you agree with this. There's no one right way to do carnivore. It has to be your way.
Yeah, only my way is the right way to do carnivore. No, I'm just kidding. No, anyway,
mine too.
anyway, I think I've harped on this a bit. I think carnivore is not black or white as well. Mm-hmm. I think there are many people who, if their version of carnivore means they have to have some avocado occasionally or some dark chocolate, like that's okay. They're not kicked out of the carnivore club.
Right.
In my book,
you don't lose your carnivore card because
exactly.
You decided to have a treat with your family on a special occasion.
Yes, absolutely. And can you talk about? So you have a history of yo-yo dieting. Can you talk about like getting over the mindset of like restriction, tracking, and being addicted to food and tracking? That's something I've struggled with myself in the past. How do you think about that?
Yeah, so it's interesting that we're going to talk about this today because I just got done listening to your interview with Dr. Bill Schneider, I believe, and him talking about how he was so like he's my age, right? So I know that when he started saying that, he was reading Muscle and Fitness, and he was, very stern about like tracking everything that he ate and what he did. I have that history. Okay. So I, a lot of people like to say, well, I've done it all. Well, I've done most of it. Okay. But exactly what he said, I mean, it was like we're the same person because that was at a time where I was chronically over exercising, chronically under eating high protein, low fat, working out 2.5 hours per day at the gym.
Wow.
And I was killing myself, and I didn't know it until the universe let me know it. And I was rollerblading and I fell down. And I, at the age of 27, wound up with compression fracture in my back because my bone density was completely trashed from restricting my diet, So, the things that he was saying with just being obsessive with tracking. And even when I went into keto, I kind of noticed like one of the things that I learned with carnivore was, first of all, you can track if you want to. Nobody's going to, shame you if you do. However, I find for me that tracking actually was kind of an addiction in and of itself. It was taking up a lot of my time. I was spending a lot of time on my app, plugging in everything, even when I was keto, plugging in all this food, trying to figure out how many total carbs I've had for the day. Carnivore, you don't have to do that because you're not eating carbs, so you don't have to worry about it. You just eat. There's such a freedom from the obsession over how many carbs did I eat today. You just eat and you just live, and that's what food's for, to live.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I think that's a really hard mindset for a lot of people to break. Mm-hmm. How about you have mom in your tag? You are a mother. Mm-hmm. How do you think about how we should feed our kids and how people can help improve the quality of their kids' food and fight against things like school lunches and things like that?
Okay, that and it's tough because my kids both go to public school. It's a lot easier, if you have more control over your children's diet and what they do and activities and things of that nature. But when they go to public school, there's always going to be an event. There's always going to be something. And if you can get your kids on board and train them to avoid some of the things that other kids will eat, great. Godspeed. My kids were too old by the time my husband and I found this lifestyle. So we prioritize protein first with them. And I call them mama ninja moves. I don't tell them what I'm doing. I just do it and hope that it catches on. So like, for example, my daughter used to eat an egg and bagel every day. And I always offered her something else first. Like I would offer her, ground beef or meat bars or egg. And then if she chose to have a bagel with her egg, I didn't make a big deal about it. I would make side comments every now and again. I am that mom. I will, if you want to, get rid of that acne or whatever, you might want to get rid of the bread, eventually over time, I don't think this kid's eaten a bagel in months, so eventually over time, I think that if you just continue to prioritize protein and make that the first offering, protein and animal fat, then eventually the kids' bodies will start to crave it. And hopefully the garbage will go bye-bye. But you can't control everything. She works, she's got a job, she works at a fast food restaurant. If she decides to, have something outside of what I would serve, I can't control that. But what I can control is what I offer her in my house. And we really try not to keep that garbage in my house.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic approach and one I'll surely mirror with my own child someday. I think it's, if you try to control them outside of the home, in my experience, and I'm not a parent, so just from what I can see, it seems like that almost always backfires because then they always want to do exactly what you're telling them not to.
Right. Exactly the opposite. But if you allow them to make, decent choices and just continue to very subtly, might be passive aggressive, but just offer them the protein and the fat first, foremost, and always. And I do that every single day. And even if my daughter or my son say, no, I want this, or if they make themselves something that I would not normally make for them because they're old enough to make their own food, I try to not make comments anymore. I just kind of like, why don't you eat a steak? Mom made all these ribeyes. Why don't you eat that?
Well, you're doing your best, and I'm sure they're both very lucky to have you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, this has been fantastic, Cherish. It's great to hear your story, get to know you a bit better, and great that we connect on so many so many things we talked about today. Where can people find more about you and connect with you if they'd like to?
Oh, thank you. So I do have an Instagram, Keto carnivore.mama, MMA, mama. I also have a website, cherishingyourhealth.com. I also have a YouTube channel with the same name. And of course, you can find me as a group coach in the Steak and Butter Gang with Bella, Coach Raymond, Coach Steven, Coach Emily, and Coach Deck.
Awesome. Well, I'll have links to all of that in the show notes. And thank you so much again for your time, Cherish.
Thank you. It was great talking with you.
You too.
If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the Carnivore Cast on Patreon. By becoming a patron, you'll help us reach more people and continue to create content on carnivore. There are also exclusive perks available, such as private Q&As, consultations with me, and more. Become a supporter at patreon.com/carnivorecast. Check the episode description for the link. Thank you, and I'll see you there. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Carnivore Cast. If you enjoyed this episode, please review on iTunes. It really helps us out. And share it with a friend. What questions would you like answered? Or who would you like to hear from in the carnivore research community? You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Carnivore Cast, or go to carnivorecast.com. You can also email me at info@carnivorecast.com. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep it carnivore.